modern snail collection, 30,000 of these things, and a lot of tree snails. These are just some aquatic snails from New York, but there's always a lot of little notations on them. And it says, I did not have time to wash these shells. I took them here and boxed them. They're no dirtier than when I left them. Something like that, if you can read it better than I can. Mohawk, New York, 1867. Here's one I like even better on the right. Now these are shells you'd find in a river everywhere. They're not really in trouble or anything. But Erie Canal, Mohawk, New York, these are reversed. Normally they spin the other way. And these are spiraled left. Normally they go to the right. And reverse specimens, and the author said, this is a remarkable series which no other collector can duplicate. Now, this is pretty scarce, and they were all together there. And we had the data with them. And most of the time, a lot of times, all the labels have been mixed, and you don't know what goes where. That's the problem. You kind of start off, and the helix, the one on the lower left, they're very abundant everywhere, but there are thousands of them. So you get a sense of the snail collection. I don't think they always liked this collection when you had to clean them one by one.
Where's that pie at? Did I see you eating pie then? What's it like?
It's delicious. They made it for me specially.
Where at?
At the Maine.
Really?
It's blackberry coffee, and it is good. But I have to eat it because
After they clean them, they
say with a grain of salt. You can't believe these men.
can't believe these men. What? And so they're shaking the water out of each shell because it'll take forever to.
What kind of special liquid did you use?
We just use clear water, just water. We don't. But if you don't get the water out before you package them, they'll mold. And we found that out the wrong way, I tell you. A lot of these are common things you would find around here. But I've got a lot of people just cleaning snails for years, for weeks. They're from Southmont High School, State Museum, a lot of different, and they came back year after year after year. Shaking all the water out of them, keeping them with the labels. Because a lot of the dust in the attic, you're going to have arsenic dust and things like that, because those old animals. No, mussels is my favorite, she says. I'm still working with snails. I'm doing that right now. We're getting them organized into big identification groups to get another expert in. They got a bone collection, all kinds of things. You see some in the museum. And most of these things are modern animals, a couple hundred years old, you'd find in the region. And some are bizarre, though. On the left, that's two skulls of a calf, a two-headed calf, fused together. They had part of a common brain case. On the right, that's a two-headed pig, and the brain case was together. And you'll see a little video on that later, but those are pretty darn strange. And, oh yeah, and occasionally we clown around a little bit. So yeah. They stink.
I like it.
take it off with it. I want some more of it.
It's just like wet bones. It's sort of like a wet dog, isn't it? Does the alligator smell
The
less?
alligator is the weakest.
Really?
That's all that skinny one.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do with the pelvis of a horse and a shark jaw. I was wearing that shirt today here. This is about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're really shocked.
Well, they were all equally obnoxious, but our most favorite, worst thing was this, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We thought it was probably the
And
ugliest.
it has something on it?
It had a sign that said, "Grr, beware," when we unwrapped it. And Ann's most disliked thing were these two beds.
Yes. Now, which one did you cut yourself on? You
Oh, I don't
punctured
know, I gouged myself and I thought I'd have a hard time explaining to my doctor if that got infected, that it was infected with a 100-year-old chicken foot. But I don't know, it's one of those. But it didn't get infected. But anyway, this was a gross table. And this was.
Raccoon skulls, dog skulls, cat skulls.
Some things stand out to me as being kind of interesting.
That was one of the first selfies anyone did.
Skull with a two-headed calf. It's the top of the brain case. The back of the skull in the middle. There's one head. And there's the other head. There's another two-headed something. It's maybe a pig, a juvenile pig. There's one head there.
And that's the brain hole in the middle.
That's pretty bizarre as well.
Oh. Then we have the liquid preserve collection. There are a lot of snakes that were found by early biologists in Indiana. They just haven't shown up. And we may have some here. The labels weren't that good. A lot of them have really disintegrated. And formaldehyde over the years tends to etch away the bone too. However, we tried to reconstitute everything we could to get the old formalin out of there, get some new ethanol, which is what you use now, and try to reconstitute the collection. So I let Michelle do that. And that was one part of it. And we have a lot of just dried out fishes. They hold up pretty well. Bob Skinner cleaned a lot of the mounted birds and animals. There's certain things we did to clean all the grime and grit off of them and to try to bring them back as best we could. And Wally Gator, he's had a hard life from the attic to, and we actually, Randy's wife is a physician and typically sews people up. We decided to put her skills to work here and sew Wally Gator's belly closed. And he's now on display. But he's had a long life. Let's see, just some other things here. She spent a week or so on these liquid collections.
Do you have a favorite here?
I like the, which one? I like this rattler. That's pretty cool. But my favorite jar is this real big fat mixed stuff. This has a whole bunch of stuff in it together, which includes like half a bat wing, some lizards.
Well, I got witch's brew.
Like the copperhead, you thinking?
Looks like it. Coloration looks good.
Which one is that head facing?
The head's right here.
Oh yeah, there's the pit.
That was a pit viper.
Now, the snake was stored that way for 100 years, so I couldn't bend them. You can't bend them out of shape.
They're locked into shape.
They gotta stay like that or
It
it's
wasn't the pit
terrible.
right there, it was the peppered snake, the venomous snake. Look at this. You see this? It's a sea picta.
Painted turtle.
This was collected in the year 1875, painted turtle, from the canal in Indianapolis. Probably B.T. Cox, something like that, maybe Elizabeth Ashley, the canal in Indianapolis. And that's the canal where today the state collection, the state museum is. B.T. Cox was also the first state geologist and was in charge of the cabinet, the early state museum. So it sort of made the loop.
archaeological collection, a lot of chert, and on the lower left, that's a Clovis point. John Elliott was wise enough to rescue the two and put them in the vault because they would be stolen very quickly by somebody. So that's very good. And it's not a big collection, but you have some great pottery, great ceramics. These are just a couple, but there's a lot, and I know you see a lot of them, but these are really, really good. I don't have any video on that. It's one of the smaller collections. Rock, mineral, and fossil. And I've kind of thrown them together here. It's a pretty big collection, lots of specimens, lots of invertebrate fossils, animals without backbones. Also a fairly good sized plant collection, but really the marine fossil collection is the biggest. And a lot of these are from localities you really can't get to anymore. You can see upper right, that's the New Harmony Cutoff, out not far from here. Some of this coal age fossil undersea area. And we know that among the fossils there are some type specimens in the collections. We'll cover that later.
What are you doing? That looks like feet. Huh? That looks like feet, and I know it is.
That's a fossil crinoid. But
fossils.
Invert.
Wow, she's catching on.
Is that what you told me?
Yes, it is. So this is the bottom of the box.
The bottom of the box. It's got everything you don't want down there.
Who knows what's down there?
It's, I mean, there's
There's probably,
mouse droppings, bird stuff, spiders.
that's true.
Just give a small sampling of the thousands of fossils, and most of these have been separated from the labels. And the labels are often, as you'll see, they're just all in one place,
So here we are.
which happened years ago.
With invertebrate fossils.
Many fossils, pretty corals.
Oh, yes.
All these are from undersea Indiana and then the surrounding region when we were under the ocean when Indiana was by the equator hundreds of millions of years ago, if you believe in time. These are all local. They're like squids, coiled squids. Trilobites, they're like a little...
Lots of labels.
Here's the nightmare. The labels are always in the bottom of the box or the crate. And how do you get them back? Some things are unique and you can do it, but others are not.
Calamites predominates here. There's some of this big woody masses. Other invertebrate fossils. Corals, pelecypods, brachiopods.
I know it just all looks like rocks, but this is just a very small, minute part of the collection. And Peggy is doing the charge on most of the rocks, minerals, and fossils for now. And once they're organized, then we'll get some other eyes on them too. This is one of the best parts of the collection.
The E.T. Cox collection and other items in the Working Men's Institute collection, separated in the 1970s by the IU group in geology.
And these have special storage.
Isolate them as historically important specimens. This is Nautilus ferratus. It's a holotype for the species.
So the species is named after that particular individual. And this here too, a different one.
Nautilus canaliculatus. Again, another Cox holotype.
These were borrowed by the Smithsonian for several years ago, and they did some work with that and returned them. Gold dust. Won't leave that out.
And we can see gold.
Won't leave that out either.
It occurs in this in quartz.